Oh wow.
So cool, sorry to say that it's so cool.
It's nice how they move. We can do that across multiple
So cool,
spaces and
sorry
maybe
to say
also
that it's so
incorporate it in the video. I don't know.
But we were just thinking about projecting the map with the marked locations, filming it, then maybe also projecting a collage of the photos. That's so nice. Those towers. That was the most.
Yeah, they're nice ones.
So much identity.
Also, the tower we saw, like with the concrete structure, the video we showed. It's also kind of weird how we attach ourselves to these places that are empty, that they become this landmark of, I don't know.
That's a good point.
It's kind of a landmark. I would also like try to incorporate that, because like, for example, the concrete structure I'm talking about is like, there was so much protest against the demolition of like there's a certain part where a lot of people were angry about the fact that it got demolished, and that we have like this very personal attachment to these empty buildings. Well,
But that's what I also told to you, that when I came here I thought that that's like a monument. It didn't cross my mind that it's abandoned and it's waiting for a repurpose. I thought that it has to be like that in a way, because it just looked too perfect. But that's a good point. We should talk about the thing that do all spaces need a function.
yeah.
Maybe some spaces operate as a non-existent space. I don't know. The function is not having a function. Just yapping around.
It was this part that got demolished, brutalist architecture. Like a lot of people were sad about it. It's the same building. And I think maybe we can add it also. So if we want to narrate the video, maybe we can like write a little text about, I would start with like, okay, vacant buildings in Belgium. There are so many square miles vacant buildings, which is in direct conflict with the housing crisis that's happening right now. But why are people so attached to these empty buildings? And then we can add maybe also like pictures of the tower you showed, the Rabot tower. Because they become some sort of landmark of also nostalgia, and like raise this question maybe, rather than providing an answer for now.
And it also supports the idea never demolish, always rebuild. Of just there's this saying, if you want to have green architecture, never demolish, always rebuild, always use the structure that is already there.
Maybe we can also add it to that one, like the layer of, in our school, that people are teachers and like the school itself is like, the building sector is like such a big part of, such a big part of why emissions are bad for the environment, and the emissions of the building sector in general. But then also, why do we want to demolish structures that only stand there for like 50 years maybe, like the other tower, the concrete one, the Belgacom tower. It was opened in 1970. So do we need to rethink the longevity and the life that we give to our buildings? do we need to reevaluate it? Do we need to like raise awareness for that maybe?
Because I think the building sector is one of the most
polluting, right?
Yeah. Most
So I would
contributing to
also
climate
like,
change and shit.
yeah, so
From transport.
I feel like our work is gonna be a bit more activist. In Belgium, there are thousands of square meters of empty buildings. These empty volumes are in conflict with the housing crisis we face today. Homelessness in Ghent increased drastically, hundreds of people living on the streets. Applying for social housing shows the harsh reality of our society.
When my mom left my dad, she applied for one. She didn't do it eventually, but she got on a waiting list, and I think she was number 15 or something. And now when I was filling out the applications of families, they were number 681.
The system fails because people spend years on waiting lists to get a commodity. Buildings are a tribute, but also a product of their time and context in which they are built. Forgotten and abandoned, they suffer a fate of a silent death. Bound to deteriorate over time, they eventually get demolished and replaced by new and modern projects, often perceived as a better option.
A lot of vacant buildings and spaces in Ghent are waiting for their future purpose. But what if some of these sites already have meaning?
Sometimes, these abandoned buildings become a landmark, a feeling of nostalgia towards a past time. People even get attached to these structures and fight for their continued existence in their abandoned state.
The now demolished Interbeton complex in the old docks of Ghent or the Belgacom Tower in the city center have made a strong connection with the local residents. One can argue about the value that these structures bring, but their impact on the identity of the city is unquestionable. Do these spaces need refurbishment? Do they need a different, more meaningful purpose? Or is the nostalgic identity already strong enough for these spaces to remain untouched? The all vacant spaces need a function, and are they really abandoned even if they don't have one?